Iran's launched a large wave of missiles and drones at its neighbours in the Gulf and wider Middle East. Air defences in the United Arab Emirates intercepted a volley of projectiles over Dubai. The city briefly closed its airspace for the second day running as the strikes show no signs of easing. Missiles and drones were also intercepted in Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Bahrain. And these are the latest pictures from Jordan's capital, Amman. There were missile interceptions in the skies minutes after sirens were sounded there. Let's get more now from Malik Traina. He joins us live from here in Doha. Malik, so Iranian attacks, as we're saying there, continued across the Gulf region, also here in Qatar as well. Tell us what's been happening, Malik.
Well, just in the last 20 to 30 minutes, we've heard sirens, alarms going off in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, and in Kuwait. You know, the Gulf has been bearing the brunt of these retaliation attacks from Iran, and the UAE more so than any other country. About 2.5 hours ago, I would say, we heard reports of the Ministry of Defense in the UAE said it was intercepting missiles. You know, people in Dubai were talking about hearing loud explosions, and we saw video on social media of the sky being lit up, with these interceptions. Now we're 18, 19 days into this conflict, and the resounding message from the Gulf has been one, condemnation, and calling for Iran to stop these attacks, and two, for de-escalation, for all parties to stop, ease the tension, stop this wave of violence, and come to the negotiating table. I mean, people here are are calling for dialogue and for the guns to stop.
Malik Traina here in Doha. Malik, thank you. Well, Israel's carried out heavy airstrikes overnight on the Lebanese capital. The barrage hit 3 locations in Beirut. It follows a day of Israeli attacks across the country. Israel says it's targeting Hezbollah and its rocket-launching infrastructure. And in southern Lebanon, airstrikes hit a building in the city of Nabatea near a civil defense center. Israel has also issued a forced evacuation order for the city of Tyre in southern Lebanon as it expands its ground offensive there. Let's bring in Heidi Pett. She's live for us in Beirut. Heidi, so Israeli attacks have been continuing right across Lebanon, also in Beirut in the last hour or so. Just bring us up to date with what's been happening, Heidi.
Yeah, so there are a series of very large explosions here in the capital in the last hour. We understand now that Israel hit 2 locations in central Beirut simultaneously. They appear to be targeted assassination strikes, taking out specific apartments in residential buildings. Again, in downtown Beirut, this is an area that is not covered by the blanket evacuation warnings that have been given, the forced evacuation orders for the Doha, Beirut's southern suburbs, or indeed much of southern Lebanon. We don't yet know who the target of those assassination strikes were, but it is the continuation of a pattern that we have seen across Beirut in the last 2 weeks, when Israel has been hitting in the middle of the night areas in downtown, hotels on the waterfront, residential apartment blocks, and targeting specific individuals with these smaller munitions. But of course, the impact on civilians, on neighbours, is severe. We've seen in a number of these strikes that witnesses and bystanders have been killed and injured in these attacks. Now, in the south of the country, there has been an enormous number of airstrikes today as we're seeing that Israeli ground invasion expand. These airstrikes are providing support to Israeli troops that are operating on the ground, particularly concentrated in areas like Hiam and also Taiba.
Yeah, and as Israel expands its ground offensive in the south, Heidi, thousands of residents there have been forced to evacuate their homes. What's been happening to them?
Yeah, so there's been a recent evacuation order for the entirety almost of the city of Tyre, except for just a small sliver down by the Corniche on the coastline. Everybody else has been told that they need to leave their homes immediately under threat of Israeli airstrikes. Now, this is a city that before the war was home to 50,000 people, a number of UNESCO World Heritage sites, and there's also the surrounding areas which have also been given this forced evacuation order, a number of long-standing Palestinian refugee camps. So once again, we've got people being given an order by the Israeli military in the middle of the night fleeing their homes, getting in their cars with whatever they can grab. The highways are blocked. The Christian area and the coastline interior is extraordinarily busy as people are seeking safety wherever they can. But I think what we have seen here in Beirut just in the last couple of minutes, though, is that leaving those areas where the forced evacuation orders have been given is no guarantee of safety.
Heidi Pett in Beirut. Heidi, thank you.